What you are looking at right now, it's not the matrix, it's called tcpdump. It's a very powerful tool that captures every single bit and byte on my network that goes through the air and through my Ethernet cables. I mean, every website I visit, every WhatsApp message that is sent from my phone, but most importantly, every secret communication between my appliances and the spy servers on the internet that are made without my permission, I can see them all here in this tcpdump. And can you see those highlighted packets? These are coming from my smart TV, and they aren't for firmware updates or Netflix. Right now, I have only USB stick inserted in my smart TV, and it's just displaying my private pictures. But look at all those packets that are heading straight to the remote tracking server. So what are those packets, yes? Why my TV keeps sending them out? And this is called ACR, or Automatic Content Recognition. So essentially, my TV is watching me right now, it is registering what is being displayed on the screen, and it forwards that information to the remote servers. And then that information is shared with other organizations so everybody knows what I am watching right now and when I am watching it. But the fact is, I am not surprised at all, because we already talked about it. We already know that our devices are spying on us. I've made a video on that before, where we talked about not only the smart TVs, but also phones, laptops, or even hoovers, sending out all available information that they can gather. And today, I simply wanted to see what those spy packets actually look like. I wanted to see them, to have that like a physical evidence that this is not just a theory, but well-documented fact that I can only confirm by running this tcpdump. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to capture this traffic and, more importantly, how to block all that suspicious traffic. There is one catch though. The most free routers that are provided by your ISP are locked down. And when I say locked down, I mean the ISP doesn't want you to see this data. So their devices simply do not support tcpdump. That's exactly why I ditched my cheap ISP gear and I bought this Flint 3 router. It's an OpenWRT powerhouse that gives me the total control, and you can do the same. I already have a video with full step-by-step process on how you can also replace this device. But for the time being, let's log in to this Flint 3 router, and then I'll show you exactly how to hunt down dodgy traffic on your own home network. If you have new Flint 3 device, then you will have to go to 192.168.8.1 IP address, but because I reconfigured mine, I can go to https 192.168.1.1. That will log me in to my router, and the first thing we have to do is we have to go to network acceleration, and we have to disable it. So it doesn't matter if you have hardware acceleration or software acceleration configured on your router. I mean, it doesn't have to be Flint 3, but generally on any router, you will have to disable it, because to see all the packets on our entire network, all those packets will have to go through our CPU. I mean, you don't have to disable hardware acceleration on some very high, like top-end routers, but most home devices will require this step. So simply our CPU is able to see every single packet. This is also required, as you can see, for some other features. For example, parental control or statistics do not work properly with hardware acceleration enabled. But that's just a side note. And if I go to clients, that will show me all my devices in my home network, and I can run tcpdump against all of them, or I can pick a single IP of the device I'm interested in. You will see shortly. So now I have to SSH to my router, and you SSH as user root, and then you paste the IP address of the router. And again, for me it's 192.168.1.1, but if you have Flint 3 device and you didn't change anything, it will be 192.168.8.1, the same like it is for web user interface. And once you are in, you can see this router indeed runs OpenWRT operating system. I can even confirm it running command cat/etc/os release. And we can see the name of the operating system is OpenWRT. Let me clear that maybe. And first thing we have to do, we have to install the tcpdump package, because it's not installed by default. And you generally install stuff on OpenWRT system with opkg package manager. If you are familiar with, let's say, Ubuntu, it's something like apt packet manager on Ubuntu. Here we've got opkg. And if we run just opkg, it will show us all possible parameters we can add. We can update, we can upgrade, we can install, configure. Let me clear it, and I just say opkg update. And now I just say opkg install tcpdump. This command will install this package, this tool. That took just a few seconds. And if you run just tcpdump command now, because the package is already here, you might be a bit overwhelmed because it's loads and loads of information here. It will generate like 100 packets a second. It's not very useful, to be honest. It's too much information, yes? What we can do, we can limit the scope of this command. If you run, for example, tcpdump --help, you can see you can listen on a particular interface, or you can write that output to a file, for example, so it's easier to sort it later on. Let me show you one way of running this command. I will say tcpdump -any, which means on any interface. Let's say for the time being I don't know which interface the traffic is coming in from my TP-Link Wi-Fi extender, for example, which I know has IP address of 192.168.1.25. So I can listen just for this device. And shortly I can see that there is some communication. There are requests and ARP replies on interfaces bridge LAN, Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 1.1. But there is nothing suspicious here. These ARP requests and replies are a normal thing. I can't see any suspicious traffic here. ARP simply means it's address resolution protocol. That means this device knows the IP address, but it doesn't know corresponding MAC address of other device. And it just asks my router if it knows what is that MAC address. And the only traffic in fact I see is that ARP request and the ARP reply. So yes, my TP-Link Wi-Fi extender is fine. It's safe, let's say. I can't see anything weird. If I go back to my clients, which are connected devices, you can see that TP-Link, and indeed the IP address is .25. But now tricky bit. I want to listen to my TV, to my smart TV, but you can see all other devices are unknown. So how do I find out which one is my smart TV? And there are many ways you can do that. You can find out. And I think the easiest way for everybody is to simply let that smart TV connect to, let's say, Netflix or some other streaming services that require to download a lot of data. And then we can sort this view by download speed. And if no other devices are downloading right now a lot of data, then I will know that at the top of this list, if I sort by download speed, at the top will be my smart TV. Because it has to pull that video now from Netflix. That means the download speed will be pretty high. And we can see it's going up. It was 1, then 4, now 8. So I know this is my smart TV. And I can give it a name now, LG TV. And I will classify it as television. And from now on, I will have a proper name for this device. And I can see the IP address of my smart TV is 192.168.1.15. We can see the download speed is now 19 megabytes, 22 megabytes, even. That's definitely my smart TV. So I just change my tcpdump command to filter the traffic only coming and going out from my smart TV, which has IP address ending with 15. Now we can run again this command for my smart TV, but I will also add -w, a small letter, it's important, capital W is for something else, and now I say I want to write it to a file. And on this router we've got that temp folder, TMP. So in that folder I will write to a file called capture.pcap. You can name it whatever you want. I will just call it capture.pcap. It's standard extension used for packet captures, pcap. And we can then, later on, use this file. We can open it with other tools, like for example Wireshark, which gives us much better user interface to generally view packet captures. Rather than viewing it directly here, as a raw digits and numbers, we can just open it with Wireshark, and it's much easier to investigate those packet captures later on. And now when I run that command, nothing happens on the screen, because all those packets go to that file. They are written to that file. So I will leave it running for a while. Let's say, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So yes, 30 seconds, let's say, I think it was running for. And we can see nearly 2,000 packets were captured. And bear in mind, 2,000 packets, even though right now I've got my USB stick, just with my pictures, yes? So if I just confirm if this file was created. Yes, it was created. And it's nearly 300,000 bytes written to that file. What I can do now, I can log on to my Kali Linux, because it has Wireshark included. it's already installed, and I can now use scp command to copy that file from my router to this Kali Linux. I use scp-o command that will use older version of scp, which is compatible with that OpenWRT device, and then its path to the router and where I want to place this file here directly on Kali Linux. That file has now been copied, should be now in home parallels, and I called it flint3.pcap, so I renamed it. And indeed, it's here. I've got it now locally on Kali Linux, which means I can now go to my applications, search for Wireshark, and within Wireshark, I can click File and open this Flint3 pickup file. And as you can see, it's much clearer here. When we are looking at those packets, they make kind of more sense. You've got the protocol you can see immediately. You can see source, destination, time. The view is much better than directly on the router. I can't see anything worrying here yet. There are some just DNS queries. A lot of DNS queries still to the Netflix, even though I don't watch Netflix anymore. But I can already see one weird thing. Can you see that destination 8888? This is a Google DNS server. And you might think, what's wrong about it? And the fact is, I have never configured that DNS anywhere. Even if I statically configure the DNS, it would be 1111, the Cloudflare one, not 8888. And what that tells me is, look, the same query, the same DNS query, I mean, it would go to my router. That's because it's my DNS for my network. So this 192.168.1.1 is something I can understand. However, that second query, 8888, tells me that this DNS server is pre-configured, it's hard-coded on my TV, on my smart TV. What that means, you will not be able to block it using standard Pi-hole, for example. If you have Pi-hole DNS ad blocker, this second query already would bypass your Pi-hole if you only use standard DNS blocking lists. Because it won't even go to your Pi-hole. It would go straight to the Google DNS that is pre-configured, hard-coded inside that smart TV. There are other ways to block it, but not with default blocking list on the Pi-hole. And we can also see some responses from that Google DNS. But except of that, I mean, there is quite a lot of spam from that Netflix caches. So this packet capture maybe is not great. Maybe let's take another one. So what I did now, I powered off my TV completely, I turned it off, I turned it on again, and I played my pictures again from the USB stick. But that should stop this noise, those DNS requests to Netflix cache servers. And now, let's run the tcpdump again. I will listen on all interfaces, host still my smart TV, and maybe let me show you some other switches. We will still write to the file. In temp folder, I will call it capture2.pcap. And now I say C50, which means I will limit the file size to 50 megabytes. And it's a good practice. If you, let's say, forget that you are running the tcpdump, you can simply write so much data to this router that you will clog all available memory. So this -C50 and then -W1, it will say write only one file that has size of 50 meg. And once it reaches 50 meg, it will simply stop. That capture is already done and this process will stop. So they are very useful switches that you can add to that command. And let's now run again. 50 meg is a lot, to be honest. It's 50 million characters that you can write to a file, because 1 byte is roughly 1 character. And I will leave it running for much longer now. A few minutes, let's say. So I have more data to play with. Alright, it's been running for like 5-6 minutes. I think that's enough. Let me just Ctrl-C it. And let's see now. We've got 830 kilobytes. It would take much longer to write 50 megabytes to this file, but that's good enough. This capture2 packet capture pickup file should be now much better and cleaner, without that noise, without that DNS request to Netflix. I go back to my Kali Linux then, and I will now copy this file again. I will name it flint3 new pickup, so that capture2 on the router will be called flint3 new here on the Kali Linux. Let's open the Wireshark again and open that new flint3 packet capture and see what interesting have we got here. And at the very beginning I can already see that my TV is trying to reach some public IP addresses, like 142.250.129.91, that's public one, and also 2.23.210.91, that's another one, and yet another one on line 17, which is weird, isn't it? Because now the TV only plays my pictures from the USB drive. And what we could do, we could try to figure out what are those public IP addresses, what servers, who they belong to, and why a traffic is sent to them. But you can also just scroll down a bit, and for some of them you don't even have to do that, because you will clearly see where the response is coming from. Like look at those lines, 163 and further. You got nextlgsdp.com. This is the domain name my smart TV was asking for, and it has yet another IP address, public IP address, 54.246.35153. Let's maybe Google that website. I say, what is nextlgsdp? And I can see it's a domain associated with LG Smart TV services, primarily used for delivering advertisements, analytics, and if we go to that Netify, you can also see it's an online tool for advertising to LG Smart TVs, which is also part of that ACR, Automatic Content Recognition. Your TV will take some samples of the pixels currently displayed on the screen, and they will be sent to LG so it can recognize what you are watching right now. Probably together with other public IP addresses that the other traffic went to. They also will belong to LG or other related companies that gather all your data. Now the question is what we can do about it. And we already had a video showing how you can add Pi-hole ad blocker to your network, how you can configure those blocking lists, but as you can see, it will not block everything by default. But if you have that Flint 3 router, there are other ways how you can block exactly the traffic you want. If I log on to my router, maybe from here, from that Kali Linux, then I can simply go to the clients. I can search for a client I want to block. For example, I scroll down to my LG TV and I just toggle that switch. And that switch, if you haven't noticed, it says block. And that will block all the traffic to and from that device. This smart TV will be no longer able to connect to the internet at all. I will completely disconnect it from reaching public IP addresses. And if I check that block list, access control block list, it will display devices that are currently blocked. But maybe that's not what I want to do. Yes, maybe I've got that TV and I've got Netflix installed on it, and maybe I want to use Netflix, but I want to block other IP addresses it tries to contact. Then there is another way, I mean there are many ways, but there is yet another way, like more advanced one. We can go to System, to that Advanced Settings, and this router has so-called Lucy, which is menu for advanced configuration on that router. And if we log in, and if we go to Network Firewall, and if we go to traffic rules, you will see that there are actually currently already a lot of traffic rules. They are kind of like a pre-configured ones, but you can add a new one, and in general settings, you can create a new rule. You can name that rule, let's say block TV. I can choose the protocol. I can choose the interface the traffic is coming from. I can use the IP address of the device. In this case, I will choose my TV, and I can choose the ports. I can choose destination address, destination port. It's a very granular way of blocking, like targeting specific traffic. I could, for example, list all of those public IP addresses it tried to contact, and I can put them here as destination address, and I would block all that outgoing traffic just to those public IP addresses. But if I want to watch Netflix, I will still be able to watch Netflix. And you can do the same for any other device. Remember, it's not just for smart TV. You can control your entire home network this way. That's what more advanced router lets you do. So please use it. You have loads and loads of possibilities here. Alright, that's all I wanted to say today. So thank you for watching and see you next time.